Hi there, this is a video to show you some options you can do to upgrade your machine and to find out basically what you can actually do to the computer. So in this case we have the main desktop operating system. We have here a few files which are available: the Mac hard drive, Canon DC and Untitled folder. They're not relevant, it's just I have them available because each of them does a different thing and it makes things a little bit easier. First thing I want you to do is go to where there's a little Apple symbol up in the top left hand corner. In my case it's black, and when I click on it, it gives me a variety of options which are to sleep, restart and shut down the computer, log out of my folder, which is Greg Sully, and go through some other functions as well. The function I want you to the button I want you to click is About This Mac, which is essentially at the top of this list. So if you went up to Finder, look up Finder and look one down, you should see, once you're hovering on the Apple logo, will be About This Mac. So click that button and it should highlight in the video. I do apologise if it doesn't, it just suddenly magically appears. I'm sorry. Let's see if I can. There we go. So as we highlight the Apple again, it gives you About This Mac. So click on the About This Mac and that will take you to this little pop-up window here. In this pop-up window it gives you some information about your machine you're using. So in my case, my machine is basically running version 10.6.8 of Mac OS X. It shows you the processor type, so in this case it's 2.7 GHz Intel Core i5, and it shows you the amount of memory in the computer, which is 4 GB, 1333 MHz DD3, and it also importantly shows you the startup volume. So in this case I'm starting up off the Mac hard drive, but I have other volumes which I start up off. So I have portable hard drives I use to start up different volumes, like in this case it's Snow Leopard, I use Lion, I also use Mavericks and Yosemite, so each one will give me a different startup volume. To spare confusion I usually call them different names. It's also worth noting that you can actually use an external hard drive to actually start up the system. If you go into the applications folder on the computer, in my applications it's got lots of programs which make it very hard to see, but there's a folder in there which is called Utilities. What you're looking for, it has a symbol that looks like a toolbox. When you click on the Utilities, if you scroll through the folders, you're looking for one called Disk Utility. Disk Utility allows you basically to format the actual hard drive you're using and customize the drive to different partitions. So in this case I've got Disk Utility up, and in Disk Utility I have the drives which are available to me at this moment in time. So in this case I have my primary drive, which is my Mac HD primary drive. I have the specific partition, so in this case it's a single partition, which is Mac HD, which is visible on the desktop. We have a second drive which is the 1.98 GB Apple SD card, which is this Canon DC, which is what its actual formatting is, and in this case its format is MS-DOS in brackets FAT16. And finally I have the actual CD drive. Each of the different first icons, in this case the HL-DT-ST DVD RW GA32N, is actually the drive where the actual hard drive is located. So this is that specific bay. The 1.98 GB Apple SD card is the actual SD card slot on the computer, and the 1 TB WDC is the actual location on the actual computer where the actual hard drive is located, and the lower information, which in this case is Mac HD, is actually showing you what it's actually called. So in this case it's Mac HD, and if you look down at the bottom of this open window, you'll see the amount of folders available in it, owners enabled, format in this case which is Mac OS X journaled, the capacity of the hard drive which is 999.86 gigabytes, or 990, it's just in bytes essentially. The available amount of gigabytes on the hard drive, so in this case it's 30.81 gigabytes, and how much has been used, and again the number of files on the computer. So I've got a lot of files, which is 2,966,879. So to create a second hard drive on the computer, one of the quickest and easiest ways to do it is to, so let's eject this. Oops, it's in use. Eject that. Okay, can't be on there. I'm having fun now. Right, so in this case we have an SD card which I've inserted into the computer. Say I want to use that as my install disk for my computer. What I can do is click here, partition, click one partition or however many partitions you want, adjust the partition. So in this case I want this first partition to be 406, and now let's make it 500. Let's do so that first partition is 500 megabytes. Second partition in this case is 820, and the third partition is 660.3. So those are my three partitions. Now if I want to make my first one, Untitled 1, as a startup volume, I can click here, GUID partition table. What this does, it makes it so it's a startup volume for my Mac. So what I can do is install an operating system. In this case I can have two separate drives which are available as storage. I can have one as a time machine backup, I can have one as additional storage, and the third one, essentially the first one, can be an actual operating system, so I can actually speed up the machine. The larger the hard drive, the more, essentially, the faster the Mac can be within reason. So for example, typically to get good performance out of 10.6.8 and upwards, you want to really have about 100 gigabytes. That will give you a lot of speed, a lot of performance. I tend to work with about 80 gigabytes. That makes my machine quite balanced, quite good at performing what it does at the moment with the amount of RAM and the amount of memory it needs. When I go below that, the machine becomes very sluggish. In this case it's not running as fast as it could be, but that's because I've got some files which have installed on this, and I know it's going to be getting slower because there's not that much available space for the virtual memory to give the computer more performance. So I choose the partition I want, and then I click apply. In this case I'm not, so I'll close that down. But what you want to do is choose the drive you want to use, format it accordingly. So in this case we're going into partition, single partition, Mac OS X journaled, options, GUID partition table, and then format it accordingly. So let's just quit that now. Yes, I want to quit because I don't want to format that drive. So let's kick that out. Still using it, amazingly. Which is funny. Right, let's go to memory on the computer. So here we've got the About This Mac. What we can do is click more information. which gives us a more detailed overview of the actual computer. But I'm just going to go back to the About This Mac. So in About This Mac, we actually have the version of the Mac, which is version of the operating system, which is 10.6.8. Again, processor, memory, and the startup volume. We can also get the build when the computer was first built. This is the actual build identifier. So in this case, this was the 10K549 build model. So that's the specific model number of a computer. But what we will also know is the serial number. So if I click here, I can actually get the serial number of the computer, and I can use this serial number, which is also repeated here. Now if I close this About My Mac and click more info here, I get the system profiler. In system profile again, I have a serial number available. So in this case, I'm just going to copy this. It gives me the details of the machine again. So it's an Intel Core i5 2.7 gigahertz processor. It's a single processor with 4 cores. It gives me the speed of the cache per core. So in this case, I think it's about 1 megabytes. 1 megabyte for the whole processor. I don't understand that myself, so I'm not gonna try and guess. It gives you a serial number, it gives you a hardware identifier, but it also gives you information like the memory, how much memory is in the computer. So in this case, I can see here is 4 gigabytes, but there's 2 empty slots. So I have the potential to upgrade the computer. So let's go on to another page. I'm using Firefox because it's easier for me to get information. And on my bookmarks, that's one. So in here I have the ability. So if you do a search for check your service and support or check my Apple serial number, you get this. You will get an options on Google. In this case, this is the one which is Apple.com's website, which is https://self-solve.apple.com/agreement-warranty-dynamic.do. So DO. In that, you have the ability to insert your serial number, your hardware serial, and get a little bit of information about your machine. So in this case, I'm going to paste the serial number which I copied from the hardware overview here. In this case, it's go to File, copy, and then here highlight it, edit, paste. Or you can do Apple C and Apple V. Apple C to copy and Apple V to paste. So if I click here, it will give me an overview of the machine. So in this case, it doesn't give me an overview of the machine, it just tells me what the machine is, which is useful. Okay, so we're going to use a different website. So in this case, we're going to look for a website called applehistory.com. So apple-history.com. Right, in applehistory.com, we actually have the ability to search for a specific year by family of computer, by CPU, and by history. So in this case, we know the Mac I'm using is an iMac. It's a 21.5 inch computer, and it was manufactured in mid-2011. So if I go by year, I'm going to look for 2011. We're going to look for the iMacs. Here we go, that's the one I'm looking for, which is an iMac mid-2011. So I click on that, and here's an overview of my computer, what possible upgrades I can do to the computer. So let's just close this page, which is the Apple Support Check page, and we'll keep the Apple History open, and we'll go over to System Profiler. So looking at the Apple System Profiler, the main overview, we see on our computer we have 4 gigabytes of RAM on the computer, and if I look here I've got 4 RAM slots shown here, but it says the maximum amount of RAM on the computer is 16 gigabytes. So I actually have the ability to upgrade this computer to run off 16 gigabytes, so increase the performance of the machine, essentially 4 times more efficient at handling the information, or handling more memory rich information. So if I'm playing a video game like Minecraft, I can go for longer before it starts to slow down, or I can have slightly more detailed game depending on the video card I have on the computer. So for display on this computer, I want to know how much video RAM I have. In this case I've got 512 megabytes, and that's the processing system I've got for the graphics card. So I've got an AMD Radeon HD 677M with 512 megabytes. So it's not bad, it will do what I need to do. It tells me the pixel color depth, in this case it's 32-bit color, and it shows me the resolution of the computer, which is 1920 by 1080p. I have the ability to have, I think it's a second display connection, which is through the Thunderbolt port, but it doesn't say what my actual maximum output of the computer is on System Profiler. But if I look down here, so again, look at video, screen size 21.5 or 27 inch. Again, in this case I'm the 27.5 inch screen. That's the graphics card I have, an ATI Radeon HD 677M. I've got 512 megabytes of video RAM, but the maximum resolution I have on the computer is here 1920 by 1200 or 2560 by 1440 resolution via the Thunderbolt connection. So I can actually have a more detailed screen as an additional separate display. So that actually is very useful if you want to look at something with a lot more detail in it. That's actually a higher resolution screen. However, since it's an iMac and that's my screen as a primary screen, the most I can do on that is 1920 by 1200, or in this case 1920 by 1080p. Actually, otherwise it goes to a little widescreen and you get a little black line at the bottom and the top because of the resolution difference. Let's have a look at notes. Right, the low end model of a 21.5 inch model used a slightly different graphics card, so I would look here in the System Profiler and see if it matches up. If it doesn't match up, then I'll be following this bit of extra information and notes, which tells me a bit more about what the actual differences are between the models. So in the low model I have, looks like I have slightly different graphics cards, so not as good, and only has 2 RAM slots instead of the memory I have on here, which is 4 RAM slots. And yeah, that's quite detailed. Yeah, so this gives me a little bit more information about the machine which might not be listed in the System Profiler or above, so it gives me a little bit of extra insight into the computer itself. What things aren't widely noted, and this is just a little bit of extra information about the computer. So we got our information we need at the moment. So we know here that the amount of memory that the computer can have is up to 16 gigabytes. So if you wanted to make the machine a little bit faster, that's one of the options you can go for, which is to increase the amount of memory. So in my case I need to get 4 sets of 4 gigabytes, so it's all equal type of memory. So in this case I have paired memory, which is 4 gigabytes of paired memory. So in this case it's 2 gigabytes with another 2 gigabytes in paired slots. So if I upgrade, I'm going to need 4 sets of memory to give it the maximum performance. Next thing is the operating system, which the system is possible to run. So in this case its minimum operating system was 10.6.6, which is not far off where the system is at the moment, which was 10.6.8. So at the moment I'm very close to actually the original operating system, but I have a potential here to upgrade to Yosemite, which is 10.10.4. So by using install disks I can upgrade the computer to run the latest Apple operating systems on the computer. If it's an older Mac, however, it's worth noting how much RAM the actual computer can actually take. This does affect the operating system the actual computer can use. So let's go to a 2007 let's try that one. 2007 iMac. So in this case, just looking at the operating systems, oh yeah, it can do it, but so in this case again, its original operating system was 10.4.7, and it can run Yosemite, which is 10.10.4, but the maximum amount of RAM it has is 4 gigabytes. So if it's running Yosemite, it's going to be running sluggish when running Yosemite, because there's not that much memory in the actual computer. If we go to an earlier Mac, we may not actually be able to run that same operating system. We may actually be limited to the actual operating system to which we can use. So in this case, okay, maximum RAM on this computer is 3 gigabytes, and its maximum iOS operating system is 10.7.5, which is Lion. So it can go an operating system above this computer, and its maximum amount of RAM is 3 gigabytes. So when it's running Lion, I believe Lion requires 4 gigabytes of RAM to make it run efficiently, and this one actually has less memory than Lion needs to run efficiently, but it's an upgrade option. And if you want to have an early operating system, this gives you the ability, using the disk utility program I showed you earlier, to actually create a partition on the hard drive. So what you would do is you would archive the information on your hard drive, and you could actually go through a fresh install of the operating system on your computer, zero out the data on the drive, and then do a fresh install, and that should actually make the drive a little bit faster and a little bit more responsive. Or you could replace it with a solid state drive, which should make it considerably faster, as the data on it isn't affected by fragmented data, which, when you look how a hard drive works, the more fragmented the hard drive gets, with more and more files are recorded in, then erased and replaced with other files, the data starts going, instead of being in the same sort of place, it can be anywhere on the hard drive. So having a solid state drive helps, but this could be in the case of a memory card you put into a computer and actually mount the system off it, or a USB memory stick, 32 gigabytes, 64 gigabytes, or a portable hard drive which has been installed with the operating system, which again it allows you to have a little bit more performance, but that's the options available. So on this computer it says maximum RAM is 3 gigabytes. Kind of curious. Let's see what an early 2006 iMac runs. Okay, so this one is Intel Core Duo. Its speed is 1.83 or 2 gigahertz. The maximum RAM on this one is 2 gigabytes, and the maximum operating system on this is 10.6.8. So you have the capability to run the operating system I'm using this on, but you need to make sacrifices to make it work efficiently, so you need to keep more hard drive space available. You might consider changing it to a solid state drive, or you might want to essentially defrag the hard drive, copy your files onto an external drive so you've got a complete backup of your files, and then essentially zero out and reinstall the operating system and the software you have with your licenses, and then your machine should be a little bit faster and a little bit more responsive. A second option you can also do in the setup of a machine is to again click up on the Apple logo in the top left hand corner and scroll down to System Preferences. If you click on System Preferences, you have the ability to go and create a secondary account or another account for another person. So in this case I've gone to here where it has System highlighted and the accounts, and I can click on the accounts and I'm given a choice of who's actually available and what their options are. So in this case I have my primary account, I have my secondary account. My secondary one is for playing games sometimes and doing more detailed stuff when I don't want too much clutter in that account. So the account I'm using at the moment is set primarily for an old email account, and because it's very data hungry, I don't particularly want it to be running in a data hungry mode. I don't want it being in an environment where I have other programs and other applications which I use on a day-to-day basis. So in this case I've created an account specifically for that program, so I can check email and nothing else loads up besides the email. But in my other account I have it just for general use. There's an account for my mother, there's an account for my dad, and there's a guest account for sharing information. I also have groups available to me as well, which is a limited profile, another Greg Sully for other things, and an eBay account, so when I'm listing eBay items I can just use the group account and actually just share files between systems. If you want to create a new account, just click below login options. You have the ability to click here where it says add user account, and you're hinted to put in the name, put in the password, change the profile picture. You can even select the login item. So for example you want to have it as an iTunes account, you can click it and add the program iTunes, for example. So in this case I go and have it is a Flickster account, so I can add Flickster, and now when the computer starts up it automatically logs me into Flickster, or it logs me into iTunes. And you can also do some other little tricks with it as well. Let's get back to password. So the other options you have, when you're in this format, what you can do is you can actually set the security of the person. So here we have down the bottom we have allow user to administer this computer. So if you check this, it gives that person admin rights. If you only want to use it for an iTunes account and you don't want it having administrator access, you just want to leave it on all the time as a media player for your iTunes, so when you want to go in and do something more serious you can just as easily click here where it says log out. You'll come to a main screen and then you type in your password on your account. So in this case I click this Greg Sully, I log in and I got access to my account. So hopefully these tricks help you get a little bit more performance out of an older Mac. One thing I should say is from 2006 Apple changed the architecture of their computers. So if your Mac was made in 2006, within reason you should be able to upgrade the computer. However, if it was made in 2005 and it is an Apple a G5, a G4, G3 computer, or it was made before 2005, the chances of upgrade are very limited. Your maximum upgrade opportunity on a machine which is made in 2005 or 2004 or before is 10.5 at the maximum operating system. So within reason you can upgrade the machine, you can get a bit more performance, you can increase the RAM and do a lot to it, increase the hard drive, and it will be still a very, very effective computer. But as far as upgrading to the latest operating system, you won't be able to do it since the operating system isn't available. However, what you could also do is look at changing the architecture of the machine and going to an operating system like Ubuntu or other Java-based operating systems, where you can still use the performance of the computer but do it for other tasks, like essentially as a media server, possibly even as an Ubuntu computer, where you can still surf the internet and you'll be able to use a bevy of different features which are available to you. I hope this helps anyway. Thank you. Bye bye.